Hello, my name is Lorraine Kalick. Welcome to my native garden and certified wildlife habitat here in San Ramon. My purpose for being on the 2020 virtual Bringing Back the Natives Garden Tour is to show that native gardens are the perfect solution for anyone like me who is not a native gardener or a gardener by nature. Our front and backyard remodeling project was designed and installed in 2015, and we debuted on the BBTN Tour in 2017. I plan to tell you about the design process, the unique features of this garden, including the working stream beds, the wildlife habitat, the low water usage and maintenance, and of course, the native plants that live here. After years of drought and the frustration of broken sprinkler heads, we decided to remove our front and back lawns. I worked with Susan Friedman Landscape Architects in San Ramon, and the design process started with a consultation where we discussed what was important to me as a client. We walked through my property and talked about ways we could use all our available outdoor space, lower our maintenance and water usage, and of course, replace the lawns with something more natural. I wanted our place to have the look and feel of a national park because we live adjacent to the Bishop Ranch Regional Open Space and have a vast area full of trees and rolling hills behind us. To be honest, I would have put nothing but rocks and hardscape over the whole property, so thankfully Susan and her team had better ideas for us. As they drew up the plans, SFLA incorporated Zen garden elements like curved pathways, boulders, and ornamental grasses that make live moving art in our ever-present wind. Our existing multi-trunk red maple tree serves as a focal point, and water runs through my famous yellow moss rock fountain named Phil. They also incorporated functional elements like the little patch of lawn for our dog, working stream beds that take water runoff from the downspouts and hardscape and slow its absorption into the ground for better retention. Drip irrigation was installed and only used for the first 2 years while the new plants were getting established. They added lighting and, most importantly, the plants. When we replaced over 2,000 square feet of lawn and installed drip irrigation, we qualified for more than $1,600 in rebates from East Bay Mud. The drip irrigation system ran for the first 2 years, and as some plants grew and others were victims of moles and gophers, we turned that off, and the garden survives on just winter rains and an occasional hand watering during the hottest summer months. So with the minimal watering and the lack of skill of this gardener, there are certainly more beautiful examples of native plants on the tour, but what you see here are the hardiest. In the front garden, we have a combination of grasses, deer grass and reed grass, which are great shelters or nesting areas for wildlife, redbud, a Howard McMinn manzanita, several buckwheats, including the bright yellow sulfur ones blooming now, yarrow, a sprawling spreading ceanothus, a prolific ribes, and some fairly common yellow sticky monkey flowers, plus a unique red jelly bean variety, specially bred by Pete Villieu of East Bay Wild. When we were preparing for the 2017 BBTN Tour, Pete came and added the more artistic plants in front and back. We put succulents and other plants right into the rock beds so they would blend naturally with the surrounding planting areas. And now we'll take you to the backyard. We will give you a walkthrough of the backyard first so you'll have the overall picture of the garden as a whole. Then we'll break it down into sections and show you the unique features in each part. I like to incorporate art into the garden, so I have several vignettes with mostly wind and water art. In this first section, we have repeated low plantings of Santa Barbara daisies with lavender and whirling butterfly gaura that were planted with gopher cages around their roots. You can see a bare spot where the critters got to the gaura anyway, but I expect that will fill in this growing season. Behind that is a row of deer grass that move in the wind and are a favorite hiding spot for the California quail that frequently pass through. There was a row of reddish New Zealand flax behind them, but they have all been eaten as well. We have a full Cleveland sage and a silk tassel Evie, which I'm sure wishes it had been planted somewhere else to be under the care of a real gardener. In this section, we have more Santa Barbara daisies and lavender with Pacific reed grass Carl Forster surrounding the birdbath. It's not at its most beautiful right now, but its tall leaves and stalk have mesmerizing movement in the shifting wind. We have another jelly bean monkey flower from Pete here with butterfly sage and iris that are just finishing their spring bloom. This low manzanita is a winter glow varietal. This upside-down vase covers a 3-foot-high electrical post that has the power supply to our boulder fountain. And here we have more of the special jelly bean variety monkey flowers from Pete. My favorite part of the design process was when Susan took me to shop for boulders and I picked this yellow moss rock, which was drilled for us before delivery. The boulder sits on top of wood plank supports over a large basin with a simple circulating pump sending water up through the drilled hole, and it runs down several sides of the boulder. Besides providing audio and visual enjoyment, birds, including hummingbirds, like to splash around in it and drink the moving water. Along this next stream bed where the hardscape runoff is captured, we have a sprawling canyon gray coastal sage and a fluffy Montara coastal variety, with more butterfly sage and deer grasses. There used to be several flowering plants here like sea thrift and penstemon, but they've all been eaten, so I filled in that area with rock and planters. I have a gorgeous toyon that blooms white and in winter has red berries that the birds love to eat. There's coyote brush, a Warren Roberts manzanita, and blue-eyed grass. More manzanitas and sugar bushes make a big border screen as we get to the shaded fire pit area. This is the best place in the garden to enjoy the long view in evening light. My recommendations for finding native plants are East Bay Wilds, the Ruth Bancroft Gardens in Walnut Creek, and Devil Mountain Nursery in San Ramon, where you can only shop with a licensed landscape designer. Great information can be found on the California Native Plant Society's website as well. I hope you have enjoyed the virtual tour, and we look forward to seeing you again in person soon.